Hello. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to my second live stream of the day. God, a lot of content coming from Apostate Alex this week. I am just trying to fill the gap while Aaron Smith-Levin and Mark Headley and Claire Headley and Mike Grinder are all on holiday and this lovely cruise. So, yes, Mrs. J, as you say, blimey, you're busy. Yes, I'm just trying to put as much content out there as I can this week while there is a bit of a lack of stuff, so you guys can get your Scientology Land SPTV fix. So hello, seeing all your chats. Hi Eddie May, SD Cat Lover, hi from South Dakota, Canada, love it. Thank you Eddie May, appreciate that. Angie, Alex, you hottest of us. Look at me. Well, thank you very much. So after my interview today with Andrew Gold, I thought I would do a live Q&A to answer any questions that you guys have, because I wasn't able to be there for the live premiere because I was actually in another live stream with Catherine Orson and Ian Rafalco. So we were talking about, if you've missed it, definitely go and check it out again. We talked about superpower, cause resurgence, Golden Age Tech 2, and we were limited on time, but we did spend quite a bit of time sort of talking about all of those sorts of things and the new e-meter and what it was like to be in a working in a Class 5 org when that was released, because that's what happened when I was on staff. And that was happening at the same time Andrew Gold was live premiering his interview that I did with him a couple of weeks ago. So I thought this is the chance to talk to you guys and do the Q&A stuff that I would have missed in that live premiere from earlier. Cool. Sorry, I'm just getting a couple of messages. Hello from Pennsylvania. Hello from Arkansas. So this is going to be really led by you guys. I don't have a particular topic of conversation that I'm going to sort of cover in this video. It's just going to be a live Q&A. So please put your this side or this side, I always get confused. Please put in all of your comments and your questions, and I will just spend half an hour or an hour or whatever answering your questions and, you know, following what you guys want to say and want to hear from me. So first one we got is Colonel Brock. Alex, are you currently disconnected with any family or friends? And you asked it again here, Alex, are you currently disconnected with any family or friends? So in terms of disconnected, it's difficult because I was kicked out of the church. I was declared a potential trouble source, PTS type D, and I was told that I am not allowed to go up the bridge or do any servicing, and there certainly isn't an order in place that says I'm not allowed to talk to anybody, but if you are PTS, then someone in good standing in the church probably wouldn't want to talk to you because they don't want any sort of end data or anything like that. That's what they call kind of bad news or interbulating information. So there's definitely not an order where people aren't allowed to speak to me, but it would be heavily discouraged. So I'm currently not able to speak to anyone in the church really without them knowing I'm PTS. There are some people that I'm talking to that do know I'm PTS, and that's fine because there is a policy of good roads fair weather, which basically means you can talk to an SP or PTS person and just use kind of, you know, light-hearted, good conversation about the weather and all this sort of stuff, so that you don't get into some deep down some sort of rabbit hole of conversation that's going to end up being problematic for someone. So it's not like they're not allowed to speak to me. And there are a few people that I do still speak to, but the majority of people kind of kept their distance over time and will probably continue to do so. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Lisa, thank you, Apostate Alex. I really do miss the other part of SPTV gang. Thank you, Apostate Alex. I really do miss the other part of SP. Oh, okay. So that, okay, you said it twice. So I thank you very much for putting the content out. You are welcome, Lisa. I mean, I miss them too. I love the content that they put out all the time and regularly. And I like tuning in and watching all the stuff that Aaron does and Mark and Claire. And I miss the Shoops. And I think we're all missing their content this week. So I'm looking forward to them coming back next week. But in the meantime, I'm trying to fill in the gaps as and when I can. So you've got me, That's what you have to deal with for now. Um, did anyone manage to watch the interview that I did with Andrew Gold? Please do put in the comments what you thought. I have obviously already shared my story with Chris Shelton and with Aaron Smith Levin, and with Doug Kramer on Days We're Not Confused. So I have already shared my story, but I think Andrew told it in a or allowed me to tell it in a slightly different way. And when I first came out and started speaking about Scientology, Chris was the first person I spoke to. So this is kind of a nice one to. It was a nice opportunity. Now I've had some time to reflect and think and find my feet a little bit and know what I'm doing when it comes to talking about Scientology in my journey. So I think it was a little bit more considered. So if you haven't already checked it, definitely go and check it out. Anyway, in one of his videos, Doug talked about how Scientology involves where he describes hypnosis without consent. Keep thinking about so awful. What was this your experience? So what Doug is referring to here is some of the auditing processes, particularly the TRs, the training routines, are very repetitive and can be hypnotic in nature. So there's one thing called bull baiting that I did in Scientology, which is a type of TR training routine where the idea behind it is that you want to be able to confront any sort of situation or conflict or anything like that in the moment, there and then, in front of you without having any hesitation. So the idea is, if someone is shouting at you or they're angry at you or whatever, you want to be able to respond to that situation in a meaningful way, in a way that doesn't react to what's in front of you. So you can think logically, you can think rationally, and respond to whatever this person wants or needs or is talking to you about in a way that doesn't make the situation worse. So bull baiting is a way of training you to do that, which involves someone sitting there in a chair and the other person doing anything and everything they can to get the person sat there to react in any way, whether that's shouting at them, clapping in front of their face, jumping around, acting like a lunatic, hurling abuse at them. Doesn't matter what you do, the goal is to get that person to react, and you repeat it over and over again until you stop reacting. And that is one of the TRs called bull baiting. And that in itself is quite a hypnotic technique. So I think what Doug is referring to here is that sort of thing, is specific auditing techniques and training routines that are textbook hypnosis. But in Scientology, they are not. They're not described as hypnotic. They are told, you're in fact told that it's nothing to do with hypnosis. This is the opposite of hypnosis, and yet that is exactly what it does. So 100%, but you don't realize that that's what it is until after you leave and start researching elsewhere. Maxwell Edison's mum, you spoil me with your super chats. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate your support. Maxwell Edison's mum is one of my regular viewers, for everyone there who doesn't know, and she has been giving lots of support, super chats, and buying me coffees and all sorts. So thank you so much for that. So have you heard the stories about LRH having a connection to Aleister Crowley? What are your thoughts on that? Yes, absolutely. I have. Actually, as a matter of fact, I have a tattoo, which is the Crowley hexagram, which you guys may not be aware of. So yes, I am aware of LRH's links to Aleister Crowley and all of that. I didn't obviously know at the time, but it is something that I am now aware of. For those of you who don't know, LRH spent a lot of time with a guy called Jack Parsons, who was a big follower of Aleister Crowley and this whole idea of following the mystic and dark black magic and that sort of stuff, and it's a very weird and wonderful culty kind of story, and when you delve into it, you do realize there are a lot of links with what L. Ron Hubbard was doing with Scientology and the magic kind of Crowleyite type stuff that he was doing. And although there's not been any conclusive links to Scientology and Crowley, but it's not like you ever get in Scientology to a point where Rowan Hubbard says, cool, so now you've reached this level, I can tell you that this is actually all a part of the whole Crowley thing, and I believe I'm Satan, and this is blah blah blah. That doesn't happen. But there are definitely links there that do exist, and it's a fascinating journey to go on and rabbit hole to read about and delve down. Bok Buddy. We know that auditing rooms are weird. Are the internal spaces of the org on closed circuit? Any rooms specifically not recorded? So I wasn't a trained auditor. I wasn't an auditor in the org. My job was to sell books. So although I spent a lot of time in these auditing rooms, I wouldn't necessarily be auditing. And I certainly wasn't allowed in the processing kind of department, the tech department rooms and offices where rooms like this would be on camera. There are definitely rooms that are at London Org that are linked up to cameras that are hidden. And I know this because when they did the Celebrity Centre refurb and added this VIP lounge to the Public Information Centre area, there was like an area cordoned off that was made a VIP lounge just for Tom Lit crews. There were definitely CCTV cameras being installed there. So I wouldn't be surprised. I did see a lot of the CCTV cameras around the org because there was a big display, as you would expect, on the reception desk. But the auditing rooms would have been linked up to a specific room I did not have access to. I don't believe they would have all been linked up to cameras because the cameras in auditing rooms is generally only for training, or that's what they say anyway. The auditing sessions are recorded for training new auditors, and there isn't a great deal of that happen. A great deal of training new auditors on the meter that happens at London Org. Most of it happened over at Flag. So as much as there will be rooms linked up for that purpose, the majority of rooms, I would guess, would not be linked up. Although I'm sure there will be some. Kind of what, given your earlobe implants, are you what we're calling you? Say a liberal, capital L. Are you gay? I'm a big fan, of course. They're not implants, they're just holes in my ear. And no, I'm not gay. And I don't discuss politics on here, so I'm not going to answer your question about that, I'm afraid, because politics I like to keep separate from everything else. UK independent really has roots in it. I will have to read that, Mrs. J. Send that to me on Discord. Alex, did you do the pro upper indoc training routines? No, I did not. I did some of the TRs as part of the TRs and objectives. I did not complete them, but the pro upper indocs are a whole separate thing that I did not do in the Scientology, unfortunately. A lot of the stuff that I did was very entry level and not bridge based work. It was entry level introductory courses, life improvement courses. I did the basics, reading and doing lessons on all the books and the lectures that comprise the basics of Scientology. And then I did very specific things like TRs and auditing sessions, like meter sessions, ARC break session, etc., to handle very specific things. And I did a lot of the TRs because as a staff member, you get buddied up. If you're studying in the course room, and there's a public doing, TRs and objectives, and their twin doesn't rock up to work to the org one day to study, then they can't do their course. So quite often as a staff member that was already studying, I'd get pulled into it and be like, cool, can you twin up with this person for the day? Yeah, no problem. So that's when I would do a lot of the TRs and objectives. There was one instance of where I got bull baited for a specific reason, which I might do a video about, which is quite interesting. Angie, did you ever feel like you false confessed just to end the hammering? Sorry if you already addressed this. Absolutely. It happens all the time in Scientology. When you look at my story of being locked in a room and told to do an OW write-up because I was feeling upset and unhappy about an auditing session that I had, I said in Andrew Gold's interview, I said it just came to the point where you admit defeat and you just think I'm done. Like, what do you want me to do to get me out of this situation? And I was told to do an OW write-up, and I couldn't think of anything because I hadn't done anything wrong. I was just, upset that the auditing hadn't happened. So came up with something that I thought they would accept as an overt, which was about putting money in the tray in the cafe with an honor system, which they managed to twist into a you're stealing from the church thing, but it wasn't that. But yes, that happens a lot in Scientology. Thank you. Lucky Stars now for indoctrination of our brain. Yes. Well, look, that doesn't mean indoctrination didn't happen. Indoctrination happens across the board from the day you walk into the org, just in different ways. Did you have to spend any time in central files? If so, what did it look like? Yes, I spent a lot of time in CF, is what we called it in the org central files. There was a big project actually while I was in the org, because so for those of you who don't know, central files is whenever you contact Church Scientology or you have any sort of interaction with them, they'll keep a file on you called a central file, which has got your name, your address, your phone number, all of the contact information they can get about you is stored in a file, which is literally a physical file that's kept in a filing cabinet. It is then copied into a computer system that makes it easier to track all of your communication with the person. You can look up someone's name and see when they were last emailed or phoned or whatever. But there was a big project in London org when I was there, because we had thousands of files that either hadn't been contacted in over a year or hadn't been entered into the computer system and were just physical files that weren't digitized. So we all there was a bit of an all hands every week that everyone would spend, or as many people as possible would spend an hour or two as a minimum, contacting people from CF and adding their files into the system and sending emails or giving people phone calls, just touching base with them. And yeah, there were thousands and thousands of files. There were so many that they ran out of space, and we had to use a separate room for some of these files. And the Tottenham Court Road branch was also, there was an entire level, like floor of that building that was used for CF, because we ran out of space at the main org. So yes, I spent a lot of time in CF. Alrighty. Alex, what's your favorite Scientology book? Well, I don't follow Scientology anymore. I'm not a Scientologist. I don't subscribe to the belief system, so I don't really have a favorite. At the time I was in Scientology, Problems of Work was probably my favorite in terms of practical tools and things that I liked, because it was the first book I did when I was in Scientology. Fundamentals of Thought was the first book I ever read in Scientology, so I probably would have had some sort of affinity to that. Yeah, I don't know. But right now, I wouldn't say any book by L. Ron Hubbard is a favorite, because I think it's all a load of rubbish, for lack of a better word. All hands are often called in to update CF. Yes, this is what I was talking about. This all hands to update central files is something that happens regularly in a lot of orgs all over the world. It is a very common thing, because when you're handling that large amount of data about so many people, and you don't have many staff in the org, it can very quickly become too much to handle, and often you need to call in the help of other people to keep on top of it. That's what it says. Why did you get that particular tattoo? So I got this one, I'm guessing you're talking about. It's actually because of there's a band that I really like called Bring Me the Horizon. It is an album cover from one of their albums, and it's the hexagram. And the idea is that you can draw all of the points on the star. Each point of the star represents a part of life, and you are able to draw them all without taking your pen off the paper, because all parts of life are connected. And I got mine, you probably can't really see very well, but I got mine to look a bit broken, kind of like broken glass, with the idea that even though all the points of life are connected, everyone's a little bit broken. So that was the idea behind the tattoo. And I was aware of the Crowley kind of link and all of that, but it is a symbol that was used by other people before and after Crowley, so I didn't get it because it was a Crowley thing, but it is just an interesting link. Oh, I'm still a bit sniffly. Someone asked earlier, I don't know where the comment's gone, but someone asked if I'm feeling better. Yes, I'm feeling much better, but as you can probably tell, I've got a bit of a runny nose. Broken dishes. was fascinated earlier re the floating needle. As oddly specific as LH was, do you believe this was deliberate to force people to purchase additional orders thing to keep the money rolling? I think there's lots of things like this that are open to interpretation. I think L. Ron Hubbard himself was very specific about what a floating needle was, but I think as the meters were developed and changed and updated, the floating needle thing is something that manifests itself in different ways. You also have to consider that the e-meter, although it is a resistance meter, there is no proof that what it does is because of what Scientology says. So whether or not you get a floating needle and what exactly a floating needle is up for debate. But L. Ron Hubbard himself was very clear in what a floating needle is and what it looked like. But I think there are definitely elements of what LRH did that keep you coming and keep people wanting to ask more or do things over and over again. If you look at Golden Age of Knowledge or Golden Age of Tech, when that happened, everyone had to redo everything they'd already done on the bridge. And even though if you've attested to OT8 or you've attested to Clear 20 years ago or 10 years ago, well, we found out it was all done wrong and you have to do it again. Sorry. That's happened in Scientology multiple times. So they are always looking to keep you, dangling the fruit on the stick or whatever the saying is to keep you coming back. SD Cat Lover. Non-Scientology question. How important is the thumbs up to a YouTube creator such as yourself? Just curious. Thank you for your content. Linda from South Dakota. Thank you, Linda, for your comment. Thumbs ups are very important. I think I covered this in a previous live stream. It's not very specific in terms of comments versus thumbs ups versus subscribes and so on. The algorithm likes everything all at once in its own kind of way. So the more engagement a video gets, so that engagement it includes comments, it includes likes, it includes replies to comments, sharing the video. All of that stuff is a way that someone engages with a video, and that is what drives views in the algorithm. The more engagement a video gets, the more YouTube will push it to more people, and therefore more people will watch it. So the most important thing to support a YouTube creator is absolutely, as I say, on all my videos, if you want to support, you can buy me a coffee using the link down below, or you can do super chats. All that sort of stuff really helps. But the best way of helping a YouTube channel grow is engaging with it in some way. So when you subscribe and press the bell, you have to choose all in order to get all notifications, otherwise it will just send you some. And when a video goes up, press the thumbs up, comment, share it, engage it with the video. That's what helps the algorithm see that it's a popular video with viewers, and viewers enjoy the content, and therefore they show the video to more people. But as I said previously, that's the best way of helping. YouTube actually take a 30% cut of all super chat money that's ever given to a YouTube creator. So I worked out for every 10, I think it was for every $15 or something of super chat money, I actually get £4 or something ridiculous like that. Or $10 gets me £4 because YouTube take 30% and then there's an exchange rate and so on, which is why I have the buy me a coffee thing, because buy me a coffee, I get pretty much 90% or something, or 95% of the money that people donate to that. And that goes towards things like microphones, the new stand, cameras and all of that. At the moment, I'm just using the camera on my laptop. This is a microphone I'm borrowing because my one's broken. But we're doing all right for now. But yeah, the best way of supporting is by pressing that thumbs up for sure. And commenting. Don't forget to comment. Alex, do you own an e-meter? No, I do not own an e-meter. The new e-meter actually is only going to work for a year, because you have to plug it in to your computer and register it with your IAS membership, your International Association of Scientologists, and it checks whether you are a Scientologist in good standing. If you are not a Scientologist in good standing, your e-meter will not register to work for the following year. So even if I left Scientology with an e-meter, it wouldn't work now, because the new ones have this timer on it. The old e-meters don't have such a thing. So if I had one of those, I would still have it today probably, and it would still work. But they're expensive things, and I struggled I was only a teenager. I couldn't buy my basics, let alone an e-meter, because not only are they super expensive, but you're not meant to just buy one, you're meant to buy two, which I certainly couldn't afford on my £20 a week or whatever I got as a staff member. Alex, have any of the royal family ever mentioned Scientology? No, they haven't. The royal family don't say anything unless they have to, ever, about anything, really. So no, there's been no public stories about the royal family and Scientology. Lived in Inge. What was your family's reaction from you joining Scientology? Was there ever an attempt to get you out? How supportive are they now? You're publicly speaking against the church. Great question. And one that I'm going to cover in a video very, very soon. I know I keep saying this, and different people have asked me this question, but the reason I am not talking about it too much is because I have something up my sleeve that's really special that hopefully I can pull together. And if I can, it will be an amazing episode. So I'm just holding tight on that. On the answer to that question for now, but essentially my family were not Scientologists, and there was definitely a bit of a hurdle to jump over to get me involved in Scientology, and there was definitely a bit of a not necessarily a problem, but a bit of a challenge to handle my family and get them to be okay with me joining staff. I do talk about it a little bit on my interview with Chris Shelton that I did back in December, where I talk about kind of not wanting to finish school or go to university and instead join staff. And there is a program to handle my family on that to make them okay with me doing that. But yes, if you guys can bear with me another couple of weeks, I'm hoping to get something together that will answer all those questions for you and you guys will find interesting. Alex, did your English grammar affect your word understanding? No, I mean, I'm good at grammar. I went to a grammar school. I'm quite good at English anyway. So I didn't really have any issues understanding that sort of stuff, I'm afraid. Great question, though. Richie, I understand that, Alex. Some channels, which I won't name here, seem to be more focused on sub hunting, and I've unsubscribed. Well, look, people go about it in different ways. And for me, someone said this the other day, a high tide raises all ships. It's true. People go about their content in different ways, and I have my way of doing it. And Andrew Gold has his, and Aaron Smith Levin has his, and Mark Kelly has his. And there's nothing wrong with anyone doing things in a different way. I think everyone is doing the right thing, and I think everyone is raising awareness of Scientology, and that's what I think we all are trying to do. So for some people, they might like my approach, some people might not, and that's totally fine. The whole point is that there's content going out there, and that's all that matters. You can get an e-meter from time to time on eBay for not much money. Yes, that is true. There was an e-meter that went up on eBay fairly recently for, I think it was $2,000 or $1,000, which, is tempting to look at those sorts of things, but you also know that it won't last for more than a year because that's the way they've built the new systems to be. Hi, Alex. Are you being harassed by OSA now you've joined the SPTV team? PS, hi, OSA. No, I haven't had any harassment whatsoever by OSA. I firstly am slightly surprised I haven't already. I kind of would have expected them to do something by now. But also, I'm not surprised because they lost a lawsuit a few years ago against Bonnie Woods, who was an American Scientologist who lives here in the UK, who sued Scientology for harassment, and she won the case, and Scientology had to issue a formal apology for harassing her, and that was because OSA were following her with private investigators and so on. So they are very aware that they have a bad track record in the English legal system here for following people and harassing people. So I think firstly they're a little bit more cautious here than perhaps they are in the States, which could be part of the reason I haven't noticed anything. Another part of it could be that they just don't see me as that much of a threat, because I'm creating content and I'm getting thousands of views and so on. However, who cares, right? They have bigger fish to fry. There are more important, bigger SPs to worry about than poor little old me. There's also the thing to consider about staff. OSA in London, when I was there, had one person on OSA Day, which is Mark Pinchin, and then one person on OSA Foundation, which was Tracy, and OSA Sea Org member was Stefania, who was looking after both Day and Foundation. I believe she was Sea Org. But anyway, there were 3 people in OSA at London, and that was it. So for those 3 people to keep track of all the SPs and stuff that are out there and people talking about Scientology negatively, there's a lot of fish to fry, a lot of things on their plate. So it could just be that they're too understaffed to worry about someone like me. But for sure, the moment they do start following me and doing stuff with me, I will be recording it. I will be sharing it on here. And I cannot wait, because I have a plan up my sleeve that's going to make it as highly entertaining as humanly possible, because I know their tricks. I know what they're up to. I know how they do what they're going to do, and I know why they're doing it. And so with that, you can turn that into gold, and I'm going to do nothing but enjoy it. So I welcome them to throw it at me. I'm ready for it. Alrighty. J Fox, how is Doug doing? Doug is doing okay. He is going through something at the moment, but he is okay. As last time I spoke to him a couple of hours ago, he was fine. I think he's just focusing on uploading content to YouTube, and hopefully we can get him on my channel soon. Wire in your guitar to the E meter into amplifier sounds killer. Blasters PTs. Very funny. Colonel Brock, why do you think LRH chose St. Hill? I think LRH was a typical American person moving to the UK, wanting like a typical English manor, and St. Hill was one that was available, that wasn't too expensive, in the countryside with a decent amount of land, and he chose that to be his place to run Scientology from. It was in a quiet little town, East Grinstead, that's not too far from London, but in the countryside with plenty of land to expand and grow. And I think that's why I chose St. Hill. But I don't know. I wasn't there. It was before I was born. Alrighty. God, there's loads of comments. Yes. Hi, Mark. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Stefania. Come over to the light side. Yes. Absolutely. Alex, what was your longest time on the e-meter? Do you mean like how long was my longest session? I don't know. Several hours, because when you're in session, you're on an e-meter and you're holding the e-meter, and sometimes when you're doing like a sec check or something, you're there until your needle floats on the thing that you're talking about. So yeah, several hours for sure. Alex, I was in London when the Top Gun movie premiere was happening and Tom Cruise was taking over the media. Do you think he is trying to gain Scientology followers while he's there? Absolutely, 100%. He does visit the Church of Scientology London while he's here, and that's why we built a VIP reception CC Celebrity Centre area in the org. And yeah, 100%. I don't think Tom Cruise is the sort of person that personally tries to recruit people into Scientology by the traditional means, of, kind of spreading the word. And, he's past the point of jumping on sofas and shouting and stuff about Scientology. He's past that now. I think he's more on the sly, trying to get friends and family interested and involved when he can, in order to interview him on TV. Any chat show host or whatever has to do not a course at Scientology, but they have to go for a tour at least to have an understanding of Scientology before they can interview him. So he does very much behind the scenes want to get people involved. But I don't think he outwardly, walks around on the red carpet and says, "Hey guys, join Scientology." I think he's past that now. But also he's promoting Scientology just by being himself and talking about it as he does. Clearwater Chad, 17, sunny in Clearwater, Florida. Nice. That's what we like to see. Alex, did you ever do bull baiting routine? Yes. I don't know if you missed this earlier, but I did talk about bull baiting earlier in the stream. It's absolutely something that I did, and something that I spent hours and hours doing. There's a story that I'm going to do a video on probably after this to upload tomorrow about a specific bull baiting session that I had, so stay tuned for that. By the way, I'm not going to be going live tomorrow, I don't expect, because I've got work stuff to do. But I will be uploading stuff throughout the day if I can pre-record it tonight before I go to bed. Does Tom Cruise stay at St. Hill when he's in the UK? Does he own a place there, or does Miss Cabbage provide his accommodation? I believe there are rumours Tom Cruise stays at St. Hill. There are definitely stories of him and his helicopter going to and from St. Hill. There are nice accommodation suites and things at St. Hill that Tom Cruise can and probably does use. I know that when David Miscavige is in town, he usually stays at the Savoy Hotel rather than at St. Hill. But they have done lots of refurb work at St. Hill recently, so I don't know if that's changed now. Kelrot, do you celebrate St. Patrick's Day? No, because I'm not Irish. Tom Cruise got Katie Lohman involved, but I'm pretty sure he's unaware of that. This is one of my favorite stories. I don't know if you guys have seen the Katie Lohman interview with Andrew Gold, but it's a fantastic interview. And Katie Lohman said that she had a dream about Tom Cruise, and in the dream, Tom Cruise got her to join Scientology, and that's why she joined, which is fascinating story. Jay Fox, would you consider filming a walking tour of London Scientology? That would be so fascinating. Yes, however, I'm too well known at the Church of Scientology London to be able to get away with that, because I know all the staff there. There are definitely staff members I don't know who have joined since I left, but enough of them that do still work and the work there would know who I am. So the moment I walk into that building, they'll be on high alert. They might let me go to the public information center, but they would very much be like, why are you here? What do you want? So as much as I would love to do that, it would be hard to. But perhaps someone could go on my behalf and I could tell them where to go and what to film. I'm happy to support in that. But also, what would you gain from that? You know, you can see what the church looks like. There's a tour video on the website, on Scientology website, and on YouTube. You can see what it looks like there. So I just don't get what the point would be. In the US, you don't have to be Irish to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Oh yeah, absolutely. You don't have to be Irish to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. You know, you don't have to be a Scientologist to celebrate Owen Hubbard's birthday. But you know, what I have no reason to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Scientology UK is crumbling. Yes, Mrs. J, it is crumbling, and it is a long road, a long journey ahead. At the moment, they are getting minor wins. When you look at things like the recent win they had in the court, Scientology won against HMRC in court, saying where Scientology were allowed to be recognized as a place of worship open to the public, as a public place of worship. They won that court case in January, and so therefore they have a bit of tax relief from HMRC. So that's a little minor win, and I think they're going to be excited and happy behind the scenes about that. But you know, it's a minor win. They are still not a charity here. I wouldn't be surprised if they applied for charity status again anytime soon. Whether or not they'd actually get it, I don't think so. I don't think they would. Troy, are you in touch with other people who have left Scientology UK after you did? Are there many that you know of? Yes, I get messages every single day for people who either have left or are leaving or are currently still in and have seen my videos. I was speaking to someone earlier today who left the Sea Org a very, very short number of weeks ago. And yeah, I speak to people all the time. And as for, are there many? Yes, there are lots, and lots more than you would expect. Please excuse my runny nose. It would be interesting to know the public and private buildings they own. Yes, Scientology own buildings all over the place. Maybe that's a video that I should do. Let me write that down, actually. UK Scientology video on buildings, because they own buildings all over the place that may or may not be open as orgs. Alex, does the Sea Org in the UK wear Navy style uniforms? Yes, that is a universal uniform code for the Sea Organisation. But you also have to remember that you don't wear your they wouldn't wear that uniform all day, every day. The majority of Sea Org members across the world, day in, day out, would wear like a navy blue shirt with smart trousers, and they might have a jacket or something. But that navy style uniform with the hat and the campaign badges and that sort of thing is not something that the Sea Org wear in a Class 5 org every day. The place you do see it most is at St. Hill. The Commodore's messengers will always wear that. And I remember going to St. Hill and seeing lots of people in their uniform and thinking it was really cool. And that kind of helped inspire me to want to join the Sea Org. And that's part of the reason I signed my contract. When are you taking Andrew around to the orgs? Perhaps you tell us stories as you drove to each place and in the parking lots, kind of a driving tour. Would love to. In London, particularly, orgs don't have places don't have parking lots because you would get public transport and people don't drive around the city as much because there's too much traffic, unlike in the States. But yeah, definitely, it's something that we're talking about potentially doing. But also, who knows? We shall see. Andrew doesn't live in London, so it's going to take him coming to London for that to happen. Is the Aftermath Foundation active in the UK? The Aftermath Foundation is global. They will help anybody anywhere across the world who are trying to escape or get out of Scientology or who have left and need some support. They are global 100%. The phone number they have is a US phone number, so maybe they should have a UK or international one. However, they have volunteers all over the place. So the moment you email or phone the Aftermath Foundation, they will put you in touch with someone in the local area who may potentially be able to help get you out in whatever way. Bulk buddy, runny nose, just you being PTS. Yeah, exactly. Since leaving the church, I've runny nose PTS for years and years. I'm never going to get better, am I? Because it's not possible to not be ill and it's not possible to be healthy when you're PTS. Does the Sea Org make it difficult to leave? Yes, 100%. If you want to leave, it's a very tough time for you. They want to keep you in as long as possible. Conor Brock, how did you put in the runny nose? What your oververse? Exactly. That's the question, isn't it? How did I put it in? Mrs. J is on the spot. Gordias competition. Yes, Mrs. J is a great mod, and massive thanks to her out there on YouTube as well as Goldie. Mrs. J is UK based, so actually we'll be able to help a lot more when Goldie is away or not available. So I thought having two mods is better than none. So absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much to both of you for helping. Alex, did you root out or blow? So I was declared PTS, potential trouble source type D, and I was told to do an OW write-up. I was given my declare. I was escorted to my desk to pick up my belongings and then escorted off the premises. There wasn't a routing off staff routing form that I did. That didn't happen. I didn't blow. I was told to leave. In my declare and my staff dismissal, it says that I will receive an invoice from the cashier showing my indebtedness and a freeloader bill and all of that. That never happened. There was never a routing form that I went on to leave. I was just told that you have to go now and was walked to the door. So yeah. Is Mrs. J ex Scientology? No, she is not. Would love to know more former member stories from other European countries. Every time I see my local org in Lisbon, Portugal, I get very curious on how staff life differs here from the US. Yes, 100%. I actually currently have, let's have a look. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 interviews currently lined up in my diary with former UK and European Scientologists, former Sea Org members, staff members, people who have left Scientology. There are 5 interviews currently in the pipeline that are planned for the next couple of weeks. So I will be recording those and uploading them as soon as possible. But my goal of creating a platform for people to share their stories is suddenly coming to fruition. And I think the more stories I can share from this side of the pond, the better, because there are definitely similarities and also some differences between Scientology here and Scientology over there. Have you done any work with the UK press media about your experiences? Yes, I have had phone calls with a number of UK press, journalists, and so on interested in hearing my story. And all I can say on that for now is watch this space. Scientology UK sounds much more disorganized than US. I don't know if it's much more disorganized. I think it's just it's smaller, so there are less people over here, and so their goals are different. People here operate in a different way, so it's just a different beast. Doesn't mean the abuse and all of this and the coercion and stuff doesn't happen. It definitely does. I was a victim of it. Alex, did you ever run into Mike Rinder or Claire Headley? Anyone else who would know? No, so they all left before I joined. I joined in 2011 and was kicked out in 2014. Stopped considering myself a Scientologist probably around 2016. So all in 5 years from start to finish, maybe 6, depending on when you count it. And this was all after these people have left. And that's another reason I wanted to speak out, is my knowledge and experience of Scientology is all post the other people speaking out. So it's much more up to date. And that's why I bring on Catherine Olson, for example, because she left a very, very short period of time ago, and her knowledge of working at the INT base as a SEAL member is much more up to date. And so as much as things don't change, Scientology is Scientology and it will always be Scientology. It's not going to change. There are things that have changed internally and things are done slightly differently. And that's part of the reason I want to speak about my experiences and why I bring people like Catherine Olson on, because there are some differences to how things were done. But at the core, Scientology is always going to be the same, regardless of when you were in. The more voices exposing, the better. The more people view this, especially law and public officials, the best. Exactly. And I think the more that you've hit the nail on the head, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because the more people that speak out, the better. The more stories and so on. British press interviews will get OSA's attention 100%. It's difficult because a lot of the press here only really care about Tom Cruise and, all these sort of tabloidy stories. So it's about how to get their attention without sounding too disingenuous, because you want to bring attention to Scientology and how crazy it is and how people need help. But you also want to, I want to at least build sympathy for people in Scientology. My most recent video I did about people who are in Scientology is just trying to get people to understand they are still humans. They're just misinformed. They think they're doing the right thing. They think they're trying to help people. They think that Scientology is the way to save the planet. So just have that in the back of your mind when you approach a Scientologist. And stories in the newspaper about crazy, wild things to do with Tom Cruise. Yes, it brings awareness about Scientology, but does it actually help bring awareness to the coercive control nature of it? I don't think it does. I think it just shocks people more than anything. Poe, howdy, Poe. I believe Poe on the Go is going live this evening. So after I've finished doing this, definitely go and check him out. I won't be on late because I don't want to clash with that. So go and check out Poe on the Go for sure if you haven't already. Here he is, getting ready for his live stream. Yes, go and check out Poe on the Go, who's going live after this. Literally just got off the phone with Catherine. She's awesome. Yeah, 100%. Catherine is amazing. She's a really, really nice person. And I'm glad she's come on my channel a few times. And hopefully we can do lots more content in the future. Alrighty. Yes, Clearwater Chad. It'll be the best night of your life if you tune in to Pose at live at 9 p.m. tonight. Exactly. So All right, guys, I think I'm going to draw it to close there. Thank you so much for everyone who has tuned in. As I always say, if you want to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee using the link below on buymeacoffee.com/apostatealex. Or if you click on the link on my channel, on the channel page. Otherwise, the best way of supporting is to like, subscribe, comment, share, all that sort of stuff. Thank you so much for everyone that tunes in, and I will see you guys very soon on the next one, hopefully tomorrow. Bye for now.